Hey guys, welcome back to another. Oh, I forgot to set. I was forgetting something. But, not bad. Let's see. Audio. Alright. Heard. Anyway. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another stream. Sorry it took me so long. I was setting a few things up and still forgot or managed to forget something. So many apologies. Anyway. Today we are streaming until 6, so there's plenty of time. So apologies for the late start. During the starting, but we look like we are all connected now, so yay. For those of you who haven't been here before, hi, Ammonia. I do a little bit of everything, jack of all trades, master of none. I am currently job hunting. I figured to help supplement my income, I am going to stream, get a few cents here and there. Hopefully eventually bright enough to eventually become published. Get a few more cents through that. If you want to support me, the easiest way is just, sit back and watch. If you want to be more active, I do have a Ko-fi page down below, and for both Twitch and YouTube. For YouTube, you can like and subscribe. That'd be greatly appreciated. Be active in the chat. I enjoy that too. And then for Twitch, if you don't already, go ahead and follow me. Also, be active in the chat. I always appreciate that. And you can also donate bits through, or give me an active, which not necessary, but if you do, that would be wonderful. But what we're doing now, the story is already written. We're in the process of editing it, and this page is clean. But what I do is I highlight areas that need editing, whether it's just a simple revision, does this really need to be here, and I have it color coded. So let me just jump up. I have it color coded. Do I want to use this type of formatting? Do I need to revise the verbiage? It's something I write later in the story, conflict or potentially later in the story, and I wrote something down, but I obviously wasn't detailed enough, or I want to know more about it, add more about it. Left off on chapter 9. How I go about doing this is I just read it out loud. I'm going to move my microphone further away so I have more to look at. The microphone wasn't blocking my screen, but it just helps me. As Lord knows I can distract enough as it is. Alright. Oh yes, and for Twitch viewers, I do roll ads on an hourly basis, so just be aware. A minute, not too much, but yeah. And I'll talk more about ads at the end. Alright. I am yawning. Okay. Reached out to Clark, Mary Jo asked, blinking in surprise as she held a half-filled a mug of coffee in her hand. I think so, Emily asked. Slid her phone across the table to her mother. Mother looked at the phone, already on the contact named Clark that Emily had added the previous night. I'm alright, she muttered before breathing. Why would he ask that, Emily asked. Her? A lot of weird people. Maybe. Reiterate that I'm your daughter? Andy is my name? Be a bad idea, Mary Jo answered. I think. So I'm just bidding if I have it. And here's. I think he works tomorrow with your father. Technically not. Works tomorrow with your father. If you want, we can swing by the shop and... Well, here, I'll get it highlighted. I think works tomorrow with your father. If you want, we can swing by the shop and you can ask him directly. One's working there today. So... like, it's Friday. Mary just chuckled at that question. Father and his team were getting on. Plus, very few people needed usually the weeks before the holidays that are I think he put something about emergency with emergency pricing. Of course, and so that her father would be home today. It made sense that people at this point. But she felt weird about him being on call for emergency. What if they were already in the middle of something? And although she couldn't fault him for charging emergency, pulled him away from it. She did internally hope it wasn't anything outrageous. Father was a reasonable man. He wouldn't do double his price. Not that it mattered, she told him. His company, so he set the prices how it was. It was up to the consumer to decide. Thoughts. Are all the auto shops closing today? I don't know, Mary Jo. Possible. Open to ask. Also possible. I mean, your father's just. I see. I don't. Tire section. Anyway, her mother. Really? Why don't you go shopping? Always great deals on Black Friday, her mother. Yeah, but nothing I really want. Emily said. I was thinking about maybe pulling some of those boxes and putting them in my bed and going through them. That'll be fun. She said that too. Worked up at the thought. Are you just going to go through them for memory's sake? Items. I'm not sure yet, Emily. On what's all in there. I don't think I remember half the things in there. Books and dolls mostly. I couldn't even. I think a couple of the ones from that babysitting series. Oh, that's continued. I wouldn't be surprised if they were in there. If you don't, you'll use any of the items you don't cover though. They're in good shape. Separate pile. Take them to a thrift shop. Emily nodded and thought, I can do that. Filed. Good. I'm glad that your items will have a chance. Happy. If they can't, they can't. I'm gonna mark this. Young woman eyeball. Smiled a bit. Marking it eyeballed for definition. Some people know what it means. But the young woman eyeballed her mother and smiled. There always was a proponent. For the reason why she was Emily's assumption that her mother kept him forever wasn't too far off. After all, Emily couldn't recall the last time her parents. So, her mother began. Excuse me. How you're doing? Prospering. I told you earlier. At her mother. What about your asked about it? Always generic. Fine. Or I'm happy with it. But I want to know the details. Like this being I just don't. Emily. We're up to a visit over the summer. The details. Nope. How are your neighbors? How's the commute to work? What is it that you do again? Sighing, Emily gave it. My neighbors are fine, and they're just fine. I don't know them well enough to say anything. I guess they're not rude or loud, so there's that. Walk to work so I get my exercise. It's nasty weather day. Ride share. Asked what I do? Yes. It's nothing fancy right now. Lawyer's office. Mom. An office assistant. Totally different. They're two totally different things. Legal assistant. Assistant looks on stuff. Is that what you went to school? Kinda. Starting to feel anxious. I went to school for legal analysis. Not to be a lawyer or actually trial stuff. Lawyer plus trial work. Go for it, then why are you? I only wondered if her mother's ability to realize. Sighed, the young woman answered. Currently, there are no openings for her. So, I got in the door with her. Adjacently. Eyes open for you. This job helps. Now this helps. Tired, you should have chuckled. Exhausted. I'll be able to sleep if I do end up. Not that I've seen anyway. Maybe after this cup, I'll give it a try. Are you going to do your boxes after I leave? Well, don't throw anything out before I get a chance to look. Again, with a surprise. I won't, I promise. I mean it. Even if it looks like it should come out, we should see. I'll keep all the items I don't want. I have a feeling that if any of them try to type of woman. Good. Stopped by Emily on her way up. Pregnant herself. vision. Alone, Emily looked down at her coffee. Like reading. Of course, she couldn't. Maybe she could ask him. Now her mother was up soon. Was most likely still currently dead. Recalled a time when she started getting the nightmares. This nightmares. Okay. This person thought it was the room, bed. Why did she think that helped? Apologies for those who are trying. It was the room, not the bed. Why did she think that a new mattress? Stop her doing. Mattress. Up here. Tag the by total. Highlight this color later on. Popping the lid off of the tote. Peered at what was at first 3 piles of books with items shoved walls of the tote. Marking. As she focused, she realized what the books were. A hodgepodge of old novels that had read in middle school. Personal short stories she wrote as class projects. The older, more classic books that she had received had to put away since not being read by her. At her lower lip. Copy of The Secret. A book cover that felt more like thick fabric than anything. So fragile, it almost. Afraid to open it. Taking a deep breath, Emily's fingers found their way between the pages and ignored. She easily tried the book open just enough to yellow paper. Hey Petra! Thank you for the well wishes. How are you doing? I can add start. Yours. Book again, off to the side. Likely never read it, but it was her grandmother. For reason alone, it was not. Episodes of nostalgia swept over Emily as she memories of events that happened while she was reading. Emotions that occurred. books, elementary school stories that she wrote, although she almost forgot the substance of the stories, remembered exactly. Though she had opened the box with the intention of visiting memories of her childhood, she did not expect to spend as long with the item that she picked out of the box. When she finally emptied that first box, setting a fabric doll off to the side pile, she felt her stomach growl in protest. Brought back to reality thanks to her body's message. 2 o'clock. It was almost noon. Digging through this one box for nearly 5 or 6 hours. Instead of surprise at the odd passage of time, she slept on her. First, she'll go and have something to eat, and then she'd return and refill the box with the items she had decided. She left the room. Must have fallen asleep after all. Otherwise, she was sure that she would not be dead, digging through the box without any interruption. Her dad would surely be up by now. Probably made himself a breakfast. Went out back to work. Hallway. Debating whether or not she should. It was just a moment of contemplation, but in the end she decided against it. Like her father didn't bother her. Emily also would not bother her. She'll probably be getting up in the next hour or so. Nagging doubt ate at the back. Maybe she means rouse her mother from bed without doing it. I don't know if that would be nice. The question then became, what would she make? There were all sorts of leftovers that they brought home from the Thanksgiving. But Emily wasn't have the same reward as cakes and bacon had. As tempted was to make them. It was almost noon, and assuredly too late for picking up an apple from a basket of fruit that her parents had brunch, but again, she didn't know if anything. A strong pot of coffee wasn't the best idea. It was what Emily had. Coffee pot of the morning doubled the amount of coffee grounds she normally. Palpable. Getting the coffee started. The task was now done. Emily didn't come down here just to do that. Alright. You too. Still need to actually eat. apple wasn't going to actually stay at her stomach. Pulling the silver fridge door open, options for all of the leftovers from last night. There were also other options: milk, cheese, pasta, bag salad. Closing her eyes, Emily let out a sigh. Although she wasn't feeling exhausted, or to either reheat or have the bags. Wasn't a fan of sex. Pull out some of the basics of turkey meat, cranberry sauce, and stuff. Maybe paragraph. Have a mini meal. It wasn't the breakfast she'd expected to eat. She had to admit that it would be a pretty good one. Looking forward to it. I liked all of it. Several minutes later, she was sitting down at the table, plate topped with the items she had pulled out and reheated. A mug that was filled with half strong coffee and half. Before she could take a bite, she heard steps shuffling down the stairwell. Mom? She turned her head so she could. Mother waited. Her mother answered, part of the way through. Oh, goodness. Coffee? Did. Like you managed to get back to sleep? Did. You lining for coffee? Careful, Emily warned. Get strong. All the way. That's the bit that Emily had yet to read. I find it interesting. It's lunch. Just a little afternoon, Mom. What? Joe blinked and swung her head. Oh. It is late. Sleep well last night. So it makes sense that you got back to sleep. I don't like the senses. Mother frowned. Emily knew she was trying. She always liked getting up early. Done about it now. Whatever you have planned for the morning is gone. I got one of the boxes cleaned out, the daughter continued. About half of it, and the rest are going to go. Good. Emily's mother sat across from her. Donation. Oh, it was a pale brown from all the cream. A shiver. Emily had refilled. Okay, so here. Half of the toilet. The rest of the items were left in a shopping bag. Not get resealed. However, did not get resealed, however. You know what was in the second toilet? be able to consolidate everything. I mean, makes sense logically. Got the word down. No, I didn't mean to do that. Pushing the great haste. Gray Toad off to the side. Emily pulled out the second. Took off its lid. This was nearly filled from wall to wall. No, I also said that. They filled from wall to wall with just books. Most were in tight piles pushed up against each other. Others had been slipped inside between. Did used to it. Backs of books. Childhood. Audiobooks. Stay in my room, please. Okay. Whole section. Instead, she reached in and picked up a book. It was the first of the series. Often as simple as there were a few that were. Favorite was the story about Mickey. The neighborhood thought there was a cat crow that was taking Bess's love. I love this story. Out of 3 or 4. Out 3 or 4. It wasn't accurate. Visions. So she found herself a lot of time to read. Bookshelf, books. About 21 books. Top of it. She seriously doubted that she was one. Had a couple of cousins actually enjoyed reading, or if she was just hoping. Either way, they would end up donated. Back of the out. There's still other books. Dashed away. Haphazardly on the screen. Went one by one. The nostalgia wasn't nearly most of these. Opposite of emptied out. Everything that one was going to be donated, and food to the one. It also come much faster than only 2:30 when all of the books again. Bag with other donations. Deciding she didn't want the tote or Emily pushed the little pile up against it. The pile was in place and flopped down backwards into the position, pressed her back against it. Although she had eaten, she was exhausted now. The lack of sleep finally catching up. Earlier thoughts about crawling under the bed and saying she would stay there, as ridiculous as they were. I'll be back there. Oh, excuse me. Hit the protestation. Pushed her body along until it was rolled over so that she broke the carpet, cushions on the floor. Thoughts. Instead of sliding over the edge of the carpet, digging underneath. Emily did not expect to feel the bed was pinned with rugs with it was almost like the carpet. The same way hurt her by touch. Her mother would. Tried to curl her fingers under the weight of the carpet. Instead of her fingertips, looked grooves in the carpet. Rising. Emily's eyes looked at her. As she found her hand absently tracing. Enough they felt hurt. Able to be felt. Excuse me. And people that matter. Got that one over. No grooves. Their hands. Ugh, no more. It was because of that section. Or was it at the moment? That makes sense for her. Got it. Let her know. Ask if she could. Hush. Try that again. You're not in any rush. It's a decent size. Very light. They're rather. Rico turns to go all out. Hurry. All the other things? Probably twice. A lot of times it is called turtles. A lot of them are like LED. Radio wave. Okay. Either way, it'll be more harmless. I wasn't quite sure how accurate her was. But she knew that short of her on station would just be. Look. Smells spicy. Very delicious. Halfway there. Perhaps. Not really one for. I'll take a walk. To get. Pop up. Noodles. That too. 30 to 45. Really not. Look. Interesting. Myself. Hood wasn't a large one. Large circular roads that bisected it, essentially creating 4 quadrants of technically accurate, that kind of. Emily and the majority talk have gone through each. Alright. Rather, she found herself. Can be found in almost anything. Argument often ends her. Excuse me. Is previously on the ground before. Now it was looking in the direction of the boys, far from her left. The car that was idling at the stop sign with cousins. Both had the windows rolled down. Looked like they were about to go out for the evening. Oscar? Oscar was about her age. Cousin from her father's side. Ryan, on the other hand, all she heard about and wilding out. That apparently meant going to late night clubs, hanging with stunts, and other things Emily would never have dreamed of doing. Apparently there weren't illicit substances. That was on his own. Luckily there was nothing to bring. I don't want to keep that in there, but I'm also not. Where you going? Ryan asked at the passenger window. I'll walk, she replied with a smile and a shrug. Up at home this trip. There. Cold, want to ride? Back in here. Oscar chided his little brother. Shaked his head. Sorry, Em. Her head and waved off the apology. Fine, just life as usual. I'm good to keep walking. Where are you two going? You're about to study or something. Referring to the same outfits. Not mean to do that. Black Friday parties at the clubs tonight. Proudly confirmed. Her pulled away. Shake of her head. Like that. Everything is on. Our care married Joas and she was out of her eyes of staring. The walls were a faded white, pockmarked, black holes. Why? Into the auto repair shop. Question. Why? Oh. Thank you. Joe took a seat. Placed her hands into her clasped and rested them on the surface. Several minutes later, large and intimidating of a man, his father was almost lanky. Clark asked him. Emily idly wondered about how much he told him though. Here now was probably not the best. Oh, okay, Clark said nervously. Daughter, how can I help you today, Emily? Deciding to ignore the message. Yeah. Apparently, Clark wasn't expecting it. That and processed it in his mind. Yes, I did. Once. And only once, don't worry. I'm not worried. Emily shook her head and reassured vulnerable. I just wanted to ask if you had any nightmares. Questions seemed to go off the nurse man more than the first question. He took a step back, bumping into the low shelf behind him. Guidance on how to answer this. Yeah, about. Ugh. Daughter's inquiry. Shrugged. I might have made a mention of that night. Dennis shrugged. I might have made Hoping, Clark turned his gaze for a moment toward Mary Jo, who did not seem as attentive to Dennis was. Her eyes were focused on the cell phone in front of her. All through Clark's panicked action, does not read easily. All through Clark's panic auto shop lobby, Emily just stood in place. Hands still clasped by. Clark did eventually turn his gaze to Emily. Yes, I did have a nightmare sleeping. It was horrifying. It woke me up in the middle. Dennis was kind enough to. His eyes started back. Arrange other sleeping options. House for a ring. Couch. The level of nervousness Clark was especially felt off. Yet he found himself and looked back at Emily, not waiting for any cues. Yes, he finally finished. But not right here. Why? Mary Jo looked up from her phone at the station, but back to it and started to take a cab. Clark's lips pressed together. You'll see. Let her into the back. Mary Jo will need a dip. Suspicion clouded Dennis's face. But his agreement locked the gate that allowed only employees behind the gate. Emily stepped through and walked through the wall. Back was just a small office with a leading shop's lobby and another leading to the automotive bay. The other space in the office was a moderately sized desk and shelves that lined outdoors. Work and binders were all over the room, sorted into a called haphazardly organized piles. Only chair and desk offered to his daughter to enter. Go ahead. Dennis encouraged her. Right. Nightmare. Started. As you know, Dennis, I had needed a place after declaring the divorce. Back. Mary Jo was sick at the time. I was sleeping outside at all during that night. Poor day. Paused. He paused, gathering his thoughts for what would he looked at her father, who only shrugged. Finally, Clark continued. Fell asleep easily. That itself was fine, no issues. When I did get to sleep, out in your room. I realized I hadn't fallen asleep. And yeah, that's her marriage was calling for me. Emily could still wanted to react. Clark continued. He didn't know what he wanted. I thought next thing I knew, I was standing at the door. Kidding, I got that set up. Scaring myself now. Dennis. I knew I was the door. Tried to open it. Tried again. Finally, on the third attempt, the door budged. I somehow found myself shouldered to marshmallows. The door was made out of putty or something. I don't know if it was true or what, but I know I was then on the other side of the door. It wasn't a bedroom, like, and everything was all part of the same. I tried to step forward and found myself. I could hear Mary. I tried to turn around in the room. This time there were stairs in front of me. I couldn't tell. Maybe I don't remember. But I had the urge to use them. This time I found myself tumbling. What I think was outer space? Instead of being around suns and stuff, I was Mary Jo was there. I was suspecting the air. She was a giant person. She was regular size, but she could see me. I wanted to know. She held her hand, and without saying quiet, I opened my mouth before I could say it. Trailed off, a heavy shudder shaking me. I watched it. He must have skin. Melted away. Still moving though, like she didn't even know that her flesh had been removed from her body. Closed his eyes to gather a breath. Emily opened her mouth to say something, but then he continued on, his eyes. Each time I opened my mouth, what happened? First her mom. I think we were dead. Fire. Maggots crawled out from those flames. Head for her on. Lastly, I wasn't tumbling anymore. I landed in the maggots. Stop tumbling. Oh, I didn't scream. I did. A maggot opened his mouth. And a shudder raked his body. Finally, he paused long enough for Emily to ask, "Did anything else happen?" Clark, eyes still closed. That's when he swallowed. Stopped and choked like halfway into the ugh. Emily looked over at her father, who just stood in the corner. Back at Clark, cocked his Pocket's complexion was sickly pale right now after recalling that night. She pressed her lips together and thought on how to respond. She felt bad making him recall the nightmare. She didn't want to ask her to recall her. Still, gave him his recollection. He opened his eyes this time. Asked her student. On the second day of school. Odd one, but it does ask you hesitantly. You know if Mom was on the carpet. The tortured man closed his eyes and shook his head. Or, why don't you take the risk? Replied, I'll be fine in a minute. That shaking man. He looked back over it. Had to visit a spirit medium. I'm not. Nodded. I had a feeling. A little bit. Okie dokie. Okay. I'll ride back to your house, Mary. Emily nodded, her lips pressed into a line. Yeah, she said, her eyes not leaving the road. Driver. Caused Emily to glance sideways at her. Back to the road. Awful. Ed. Figure any of that out at all? Oh, yeah, I don't like that. Actually, it kind of did. Replied. I read home. Back into her past. Allowed her head to roll to the side and look out. Out, prodded. Concrete. I might take a closer look at the space. Emily wasn't sure how to tell her mom that she thought her mom was the only house ever encountered. It just wasn't easy to verbalize it. Mark Stream mentioned something about a bed. Something felt weird about the space in the mind when I was trying to explain it. Drive her to look. Let me know if you need any help with that, okay? Hey. As the woman watched the time going to read. The car was stopped at a light for traffic at one intersection. Madame Deirdre's crystals, herbs, or any of the New Age things actually help with the situation. But the spirit that Clark talked about said that the nightmares. That was accurate. Raw. She had made up her mind about it. Had already been driving again. We're nearly home. Had her own car in the driveway that she could use. Got back to the house. Work, lock it. First. Jason made it back to the front. Emily, what's gotten into you? She surprised. Hit up a couple stores, she answered. Brushed past her mother. That you're going to take a closer look under your bed. I am, but first I need to get a couple of things. What? At this point, Emily hesitated. Looked back at her mom. Go buy some sage. Crossed Mary Jo's face. It's... I don't know how to describe it. It's supposed to be good for getting rid. Think? I thought I'd give it a shot. Well, that stuff is empathic, right? Or caution. See? I'd rather give it a shot. Well, with that, I was sleeping. Try that again. For a flat look. I'm out of sleeping in bed in the afternoon. Try that. I'll cross Emily's face. Mom, she chirped. And take her car out shopping for just flying through the chapters today. The bell rang as Emily up and looked around. Grab the name. Deirdre's Twitch viewers, there's an ad coming up in about 4 or 5 minutes. Just as a heads up. It wasn't a large shop by any means. It had a table in the center with crystals displayed by type and woven. Along the walls were various different types of shelving units. Dried herbs and canisters, while others displayed jewelry, cars of some sort, and other knickknacks. Directly to the right of the entrance, about chest high, with a tall, middle-aged woman sitting. Posters. Taking a look at the posters, Emily noted that they were for festivals that were coming up. The shoop? Sorry. Emily noted that they were for festivals that were up soon. The shop seemed to be planning to participate. Most of it. Hello and welcome. On the other side of the counter, chirped without turning around. Just one moment, and perfect. Then she finished fixing. Around and smiled as she caught Emily and welcome, she said again. May I help you find anything? Suddenly feeling small and very out of place in a place like this. Emily shrugged meekly. I came to find some help. I think I need to studied Emily for a moment, her eyebrows knitting, and finally she nodded. I can show you where the smudging supplies are. However, sometimes more than just started. Emily immediately tensed. This is what her mother was probably afraid of. This woman was going to tell her something to buy more than what she absolutely needed. Smudging supplies, thanks. Emily managed to voice wavering. Blah blah blah. The woman must have known. Eyebrow immediately went up. A suspicion of her own. Mind if I ask why you need? I get nightmares. Figuring being honest would be his path to resolution. Can help, the woman acknowledged. Those can too, but I think the most effective thing would be to why you're getting that. Okay. But I think the most effective thing would be to why you're getting that. This way I can make more effective. Best. These new? Emily hesitated for a moment. Head. I've been getting them nightmares. Only at home though. I don't get them when I'm at my apartment or at college. Besides that. First. College was in the past. Shared that about the nightmare situation from the strange woman who was offering to help. Shared that all that she knew about the thing. Confirmed to affect anyone who slept in other rooms. The woman's face scrunched, including snippets of what she could recall from her nightmares, along with the nightmares of Clark and Julio. Definitely sounds like a localized problem she made. It's not something that was brought into the room? I don't think so. Oops. Nothing like that was added to your life around the started? Not that I recall, Emily. The newest piece of furniture was the desk. A year after that. Other things come and go, but nothing I can think of. Some things, odd things can be triggers. Brought hand up to her. You dabble in magic, black magic, or anything like that when you were a kid? A book out of the library. Left. Emily thought back to her teenage years. My parents wouldn't allow anything like that. But I was also not interested in anything like that either. Closest I thought is a book that I mentioned. But she hesitated to share this part. Just to share everything she could. You know how I said my dad's friend had a dream about someone being under a bed? I didn't sort of find I was for the bed yesterday, and I don't know how it actually looks, but I think there's something carved into the wood under my bed. Could that be something? I was thoughtful. Based on what you told me, it might be unlikely that someone could have carved something archaic. That wood and covered it so you wouldn't see it. How long do you think it's been there for? It's under a rug, and I've had that rug for as long as I would have had to have been. There probably before then. This is your bedroom. You probably spent a lot of time there dealing with big emotions, right? Yeah. If there's something carved into your wood that's could have been dormant during your child, then something might have happened, a triggering event, and then your nightmare started. But it's triggered as a carving, it's not something that will follow you, but it would impact anything in a certain radius. Carving is like your bedroom specifically, but I bet if you napped in your hallway, or maybe there's only the bathroom there. Exactly. If you napped in one of those unlikely places, you'd also probably get nightmares. That elaborates. Oh. Get nightmares. So there really is some sort of carving of how it started. But how do I get rid of it? The woman took a deep breath and nodded, crossing the store toward a shelf where there were bundles of what looked like grass tied together. Some were sage green, others were white. There were also bundles of sticks, bottles with labels called cleansing. Emily looked at the setup skeptically. The woman only picked up a bundle of the sage-colored grass, offered it to them. Saging is a great start. Crystals won't do any good unless whatever is cursing your home is gone. Help dampen whatever was activated, possibly even stop it altogether for a while until another big event occurs to invite that back. What can I do to guarantee that it stops forever? Bundle. Honestly, there are a couple of options, but they aren't easy. Not your home, a couple of them might be good by your parents. Me anyway? Hey Blaze, how's it going? Of course. You can try to fill in the carving with wood that is from this type of tree as your floor. So oak carvings for oak floors, for oak wood, cherry wood for cherry wood, and the like. Anything else would just serve to That's the easy. The other suggestion out the affected wood. Yeah, I don't think my parents would be up for that. I wouldn't think that they would be. Spring is hard to find. Emily nodded at the bundle of sand, and then asked, "What about crystals?" Don't like this much away from the internet. This is errors. So some crystals are good at warding, but good for clearing away energy that attracts whatever is calling the card. But crystals need to be recharged from time to time. The sounds of it, you will not be able to maintain your household. The better option will be to find a way to carve it. Sell it or fill it in. Again, what is your point? And utilize any energy of that sort. And carving somehow finds its way. Ron crossed Emily's face. She wasn't being pleased. She had always thought she would be for jobs like this. But with the information providing to her, she was actually wishing she could get as she would be getting the buy as many crystals as you can. I promise it will work for you. Even if only as effect. Still, she was grateful for the woman's honesty and forthrightness. Thank you for telling me all of that. Finally. Name's Emily. The woman provided a sincere smile on her face. Thanks, Kaylee. It's a pleasure to meet you. Guys. Emily, do you mind if I ask you one more question? No, go ahead. Know how to swim? Favorite line. I'm gonna go do this thing. I don't know how to do this thing, but I'm gonna go do this thing. Right. Chapter 16. Right. Done. Ed lining the story. Back in her room, Agus mentioned her bed. It's fun to test her bed. The faded paint had almost speckled as the wood. Legs to the heavy wooden frame. Asian rose. Carpet had been there since Emily was a The idea was, she had always thought, the carpet was there scratched by the head. Maybe it was. To hide the gouges. Emily wasn't so sure about this. It all seemed outlandish. Various things. There were no other explanations. Face of nightmares. I wondered what the incident started so long ago, way back when she was in high school. How they started. She recalled that at one point in the middle of the week, stressing me out. Or good, but okay. So, what had occurred during the time? Her dresser in her room had that. It felt like it was head fingertips. she was about to its current position. Plan was to rotate it around so that she could at least lift half of the covered up. I'd release the bed and at her lower lip. Alright, I'm gonna. Life as a teenager wasn't very exciting. She enjoyed reading. She struggled in school. Life as a teenager. Enjoyed reading. She struggled in school, especially. Talking about struggling math in school. Okay. Struggled in school, especially math, but managed well enough to graduate. I had to go to college in Caulfield, high school. She figured that if she was going to go through school and debt, definitely choose a worthwhile profession that didn't involve looking at it. Nothing about the summary of her life as a teenager. The entire paragraph could be summarized in a lesson. Dolores, very close. Emily was the firstborn daughter of the entire father's sides of the family. She's often given a lot of attention. Emily's cousins were born. First born, Emily remained. On the other side, though, she had a couple of cousins. That side of the family. I don't hate it. I just feel like we advisor or highlighted either way. Our father's side, there's still more to bestowed on quite heavily. Ballet school, shopping trips, etiquette for the princess. The first one called it princess. Witty. Witty. Words are hard, guys. Fun. All thanks to her grandmother. Yes, but section. Emily was in high school. She was able to be friendly with many people. No one to really go to the movies with or go have oh, when she did an invitation, jumped at the chance. Take into account. Also, at her there was a lot. lot of argument about whether or not she could Emily should come. Of course, Emily opted for the friend. Argued for family. In the end, her grandmother is the one is growing into it. She'll just have to make up for it later. Emily was ecstatic with how understanding grandmother could change. The girl stayed there. Shortly, Emily would have the best of both. I'll see where this is going, right? Except that declaration, in on her behalf, would be the last one that could have. I like. Alright, back to this. While Emily was dancing to high-paced music, laughing with her hours of car accident claim. Realizing she never got to make them. Develop into finding out. Well, logically, her presence or not would her. Emily always wondered what. At the very least, she missed out on the chance to see him. Emily closed her eyes, feeling tears. Vaguely remembered when she started having the night. Always felt like it was. Vaguely remembered when she started having the night. Made sense now. Actually, a detail about when. Final exam. Yeah. Guilt. Losing her grandmother was the truth. Her loss of sleep led into night. Sorrow. Sorrow bled into sorrow, and then morphed into person. I don't hate twice. Like it could be hot tear rolled down her cheek. Was all connected. Like soft and wetness. The older woman had a phone in her hand, held up to her ear. She expected her mother to ask if she was okay. Then she asked, "Have you seen your cousins Oscar or Ryan? Hilda and Louise haven't either of them since they left yesterday." Mary Jo referenced the parents asking. The question brought a frown to Emily's lips. The nightmare she had the previous night. Party, dancing until they dropped. but becoming a pool, drowning, and ended with a vehicle plunging into the deep end of the pool. I saw them when they were on their way out of the neighborhood yesterday. They were going to some clubs with Black Friday party specials. They didn't say where they were going to go. Where she I don't like it. Called, the more certain she was that at least Oscar was there. She nodded her head. Parents. I don't like sense, but also I can. Shifting in my seat, don't I? What is? Oh, stretchy, stretch. Okay. Watching her mother disappear away from the door frame, Emily placed a hand back onto it. She tried to reassure herself. Nightmares hadn't been predictive of anything before. Why would they start being that way now? She had just seen them, her cousins, yesterday. Everything she knew about dreams, and everything she knew about dreams that you've had any interaction with in the last several months could, and often would, make it. Alright, so I like that. I like. Nightmare shouldn't be an exception. They stood out because it was a nightmare, because they were missing. Emily glanced at her clock, noting how late in the afternoon. It was odd that they were missing. They would be back soon. At the very least, Oscar was reliable and would make sure that they came home in one piece. So she kept telling herself. Had to believe it. Right now, recalling what happened to her mother, she heard the thought. Losing any more could have, probably should have. Encouraging herself to the task she was about to do. Today was the last day she would be able to do. Unless she'd be back in less than Christmas. Not trust herself to have the resolve to do that time. I'm gonna. Plus, half the work had already been done with that trip. Here. Yeah. I want to get that called out. Little strength she had, Emily ended up as she had originally planned. Turning it parallel to the wall, its headboard. Oh. Beige and rose carpet, and it was not as dusty a dingy as it could have been. Likely thanks to of truth. Word and carpet. Just a second, lifting the side of the carpet up one fell swoop. Raising it one. I know, raising. There was dust somehow beneath the carpet that got picked up from the motion, prompting Emily to turn her head away. Cleared, just here, Emily is down. Carpet. Eyes scanning for anything like there. She saw the gouges. A set of half circles and varying sizes. Carving or anything. Wow. Emily, it looked as plain as step marks. Bum bum bum. This is stupid. Cross-legged on her bed. Bag. Hide. What? Maybe one hides this one. Do it, the voice by the phone. Also the closest thing I've got to get rid of this. Do it. You're not helping. Look, you've waffled for the last 30 minutes about whether or not you will smudge after you out. You already bought all the supplies. Might as well just stopping you. It doesn't work. Nothing changes. If it does, then you might actually get a good night of sleep. Said her friend. You feel so stupid. How do you know? You told me I think you feel really stupid right now because you're a person, it turns out likely isn't. Valerie continued as if she could hear Emily's objection. But it doesn't change that you're getting the nightmare. Punching might not help, but it's like I said, it wouldn't change anything if that was the case. If it does help, great. It's worth a shot. Even if you need to keep doing it every time you clean the house. There's no proof that this stuff works, Emily. Maybe not, but there's still something to be said for it. Even outside of the new age stuff people used to smudge or cleanse bless them. Go home. Something like that. How do you know that? Emily about the little nugget of knowledge that her friend provided. You mentioned your plan, I looked into it. It's actually quite the history. It doesn't work. No. A sage isn't usually ethically harvested. It causes problems for the growers and the community. That Lion sage. Something like that. Great. Now I'm going to get a nightmare about dangerously harvested grass. Snaker came from the other side of the phone. That'd be an interesting thing to have. Certainly a unique habit thing. I actually don't mind nightmares, Valerie stated. I don't get them frequently. They don't bother me when I do get them. If I could take one off your hands, I would. So come Christmas time, you can come down here in my place and I'll go. Okay. Worth a shot. I like smudging it. I'm gonna. Where are you? Jeez, I keep forgetting about that. Emily did call her to vent about the surprise non-rituals. requires revision. I know what I was getting with that, but it's still fine. Emily conceded with a shake. I'll get the room smudged for dinner, and I'll let you know how it goes when I get back there tomorrow night. Or you could shoot me a text tomorrow when you wake up. You sure you're okay with the text waking you up? I can imagine Mallory shaking. That's why I make both a terrible and a great choice for my phone won't wake me up, so when I wake up and get your message, it'll be like the message just arrived. As long as I ignore the timestamp. No fun. Echoed Mallory's laughter. Eyes. I probably should have added an extra color for removal. Now that I'm like way far into it, it's fine. A review for removal. Right now, I'm the most stick in the mud friend you'll ever have. Aren't you lucky to have a friend like me? Maybe the real curse was you all along. Hey. No, but for real, Emily. Brought the conversation topic. I don't know why I'm getting this very, very short logical. It's just I guess it's the God. About the labels or the whys. Try what you can to get it taken care of. That feels also feels weird. Who knows? Maybe the placebo effect will be enough to go away. Only found for a moment. At the same time, only hours ago, she was convinced that that was only spirit meaning secret. How she was still. I was right earlier. Mallory is right now. Much as the placebo effect. It literally. I like the end of the paragraph. How rambling. Chapters. Oh. An hour. Fine, guys. Maybe we'll actually get some things done. Oh, yeah, but. Alright. Waved her arms in front of her, trying to turn her away. A moment ago, she was. And it all took. All it took was the light of. All it took was the light of. It flared up and constantly causing the air to thicken, alternating between coughing the smoke. Ellie decided the best bet was to find her way out of the house. Finally, she moved from her bed to the doorway and found herself in the upstairs hallway. Everything was still shrouded in the smoke. All of the clean air that was out. That maybe too technical. Hear her mother call for her. Tone of worry. Emily! Father's voice billowed from the downstairs, anger dripping in his voice. Elton's voice There's pause. Frozen as she just go to her mother. Does she go to her father or do straight east? Kept calling for her, more and more insistently, passing moment. Now her mother seemed father would probably be furious. Finally got down to him. It would be okay. She'd have her mother with her. Together that would help allay any frustration he might have. Mom? Emily called, walking down the hallway, past the stairwell. The door was closed. So, like, it was the smoke that was Emily, help! Assistant out of the door as weak and terrified. Confused, but not to let her mother suffer. The door open. It was massive and took all of the. She finally got it open. She found herself standing in the middle of a large circle. I know how the room picture is pictured. It's bricks, but they're like gray bricks. Out of gray bricks. Yeah, anyway. I need to switch. There were cages of wrought iron that lined the room on cages of wrought iron that lined the room, both on the floor. There was no exit door or any indicator. She found herself. Mom? Emily asked again, horror filled with blood. All had teeth. None of them were here. Softer on the side. Emily was about to destroy. I think. Is on this side of the room, no different than motionless humans. Oftentimes, the cages were held up in a way that whenever someone was added to a cage, it ever remained inside, however violently. I like the that, but I don't. Mom? Emily carefully looked over the cage. Body. Here. Voice again. Emily blinked to scan the area again. Blinked again. Realized she might have just. At you? Directions attached to anything. Will the straw open to let out another? Held. What happened? The action of picking up. Emily! Her father's booming voice echoed in the chamber. Violently back. Did she not hear his? Or did he wait until Mary Jill? Coming! Emily called obediently. There was now a circular stairwell. and carefully carried her mother's. Then I stirred the circle with her other hand. At the bottom of the stairs stood her father. He was taller than any tree she'd ever seen. Hot, color. He could still regular polo shirt and jeans. He looked so much like a eyes and color. Emily! He bellowed again, the entire world shaking around them. It was at that moment that he realized that she should have been in the household. He should have been in the household living room. Or they should have been. Right now, well, the woods. No buildings in sight. Dad, I'm here. I brought Mom too. We can be safe now. Safety? Laughing. As if taking his soul in the crook of Emily's entire forest around them. After. There's no safety. All mocked Emily with a voice that resembled his version of the I was enough to startle the young woman, dropping the skull to the ground and shattering it into dust. All laughter. Trying it version. No, she just fell. She was in your hand. No, I didn't mean to. I was startled. I was scared. About her. Hi, Emily pleaded, tears running down her face. I didn't mean to. Sorry. You're sorry? I'll show you what it's like to be sorry. Massive red aiming down. Could be worse, but I think one last chapter. Chapter 19. Oh, you're interested. Moving from oven to sink to fridge. Yes, how are they? Emily sat at the table. She eyed as she watched her mother speak. Based on the bits of conversation she was overhearing, just so they had found her cousin. She couldn't quite make out what the details were yet, but the relief on her mother's face was enough. Great! Spoken to the phone. Setting it into the... So I'm gonna keep it. When do you think they'll be back home? Great. How are they getting back home? They found that meant something would happen to their car. Well, as long as the two men were safe, it would all work out in that line. Good. When you're home, you can swing by our house. I'll make dinner, her mother offered. No, Emily will be gone by then, but it's fine. I can still make dinner. So we have Emily. How many times is Emily going to frown? She'll be leaving today. Happen. Happen today, especially since she's solved her issue. every line in this paragraph so far. Back at her mother, she saw her staring at her. Considering she was relief for Oscar and Ryan. Yes, that sounds good. I'll get something for all of you then. Her mother added to the phone. Then? Great. Bye. Taking her head off. The call hung up. I should be enough. Obviously didn't sleep well. Nightmares? Emily did. Said she gave a slight nod. I hadn't questioned her. Today she didn't really want Heather. Do that for relevancy. Luckily, Mary Jo stared across the water, head in defeat. Do you want to be okay driving back? Yeah, Emily answered. I should be fine. It's not like the roads are dangerous. There'd be a lot of people on the roads. Yeah, still, it's pretty much a straight shot between here and there. Nothing out of the ordinary to worry about. I've driven it hundreds of times. Mary Jo nodded. This is the most basic description of food I've had yet. On. Well, if you feel like you need to nap, I appreciate it. Take your mother up on that offer. The breakfast that normally like a parting meal between. Call back to the one that are called out. Oh, they found the boys? She asked, painting the subject between them. Yes, her mother. Plates of food, one for herself and one for her. What happened to them? Apparently, they were robbed at one of the clubs out west. The ones that's by itself on the highway. Their phones and car were taken. Two of them walked the highway trying to be hitchhikers, were ignored by drivers yesterday. Houses they found, no one opened the doors to them. Her head sadly. It wasn't until they came across a garbage collection truck. Alright. Garbage truck. Ride to something. As a thought. Was on the way to pick them up. Horrible. Setting up the plate. Nodded slowly. Had the other night not come to pass at all. The pool or drown. Only nightmares then. Decided to relax a bit. She rolled her shoulders again and tilted her head upward toward the ceiling. Up the kitchen was about where her room was. That and the bathroom. No mystical carvings in the wood or in the ceiling. No. The moment when she woke up. There really wasn't a way to mess up burning a bundle of herbs and allowing this. No, it was as if the room was causing the nightmare. It was impacting. Well, Emily didn't doubt that whatever was causing it was. Or was it? Together. It wasn't that car, or. It wasn't something that herbs can only do. It did have something to do with it. Emily closed her eyes and considered. For her, the grief she had over her started. I want to keep nightly nightmares. I kind of like that. What might have caused Julio's nightmare, or if he had one. For all she recalled, he had a weird. It was interesting. Surprised her father didn't murder him. There. So, her mother began out of her closed eyes. Try to keep her voice low. Emily could tell that there was sadness. Emily wasn't sure how to respond to that. Nightmare seemed down at her plate. The food was ready. Surprisingly, she barely coffee. Sure. Mallory, my friend, said that might bother her. Wondering if she was aging. She thought it might be worth a shot. It wasn't. For Twitch viewers, it looks like they're about 4 or 5 minutes before. Listen. No, it wasn't. I think for Mallory, it might just be. They want to get back. First case. Part of the garage into some. I want to add notes. Garage. Or you can just and your bed is comfortable. I'd rather avoid having. Oh. Emily smiled and I want to live there. That's numerous. Visits me much. Instead, she was she had been more forthright about that. So many. Not Not all, but many. Arguments. Alright. That's... after that. And... is it? Have the red mining done. Well, actually physically done. Ugh. Research types of things. How I want to. But okay. Regular review. Just shake your hand. Back here. I family eyes. Voice. Present. Out of breath. A bit of this smart speaker. Okay. Fading into luminescence. Fading in is I want to use. Fading, because fading indicates that it's fully bright. Ah. I'm not gonna read the entire story. Faded over. Perfect. I mean, not happy with that. Fixed it! During the day. Family. I'll find out. So, if it's... Ah. Please. Add her hair. Oh, ow. It's been a while, hasn't it? Awkward. Ugh. There's yeah, Ready. Seven. Chapter 2, exactly 6. Oh. Always thank you guys so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, help the channel. Otherwise, thank you guys. Always. So when I switch, there will be an end stick. For editing.